Controversy brewing in Rhode Island over its regulations barring out-of-state wine deliveries. A federal court rejecting the Ocean State's attempt to dismiss a lawsuit challenging its ban on national direct-to-consumer alcohol sales. Rhode Island is one of a handful of states that have such laws intended to protect local businesses. So is this, as some argue, a post-prohibition relic? And is it legal? Let's ask attorneys Rich Roth and Bryan Rotella. Gentlemen, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Hey, Mike.
From Rhode Island general law, no manufacturer of distilled spirits or wines whose principal place of manufacture is outside of this state shall hold a wholesaler's license. Bryan, start us off.
Mike, last name's Rotella, Italian, right?
Yep.
So I have a message for our friends out in Rhode Island, the Ocean State. Let the vino flow, okay? 1951, this is probably not a constitutional law. 2001, maybe not. 2021, this is unconstitutional for three reasons. The Commerce Clause. What's the Commerce Clause for our folks out there? We don't want New York and New Jersey to have a trade embargo against each other. So ultimately, the federal government regulates interstate commerce. Well, that's what's going on right here. And I think ultimately if this makes it to the Supreme Court, they're going to decide is economic protectionism. Rhode Island is saying, you can't buy wine from a retailer out in California. That's against the Commerce Clause. It's unconstitutional. Let the vino flow. I think this is ultimately going to be a Supreme Court case, and I think it's going to go in the favor of the folks challenging.
Let the vino flow. I like it. From the judge's ruling this week, plaintiffs contacted out-of-state merchants and were prevented from purchasing and receiving a lawful product in an interstate marketplace in which they wish to participate. Rich, what's your take?
So he's right. The bottom line here is that you can't discriminate against out-of-state wine distributors. And let's be clear. If I live in Rhode Island and I want to order wine from a Rhode Island wine distributor, I'm entitled to it. If I want to order wine from a Massachusetts, a New Hampshire, a California, a New York, a Michigan wine distributor, I can't do that. And the basis upon which the government is doing it, which is the same as the federal government, is the Commerce Clause. The Commerce Clause allows the states, and each state in particular, to restrict the flow of commerce. Well, the U.S. Supreme Court in 2005, more than a decade ago, said that the same law in New York and Michigan was unconstitutional. The case called Graham Hall versus Hill. So the bottom line is that this will eventually go up the ladder, but once it goes to a higher court, I agree. Let the vino flow. This is going to be struck down, and there's no reason why a non-Rhode Island company shouldn't be able to deliver to your door.
From the Rhode Island Responsible Beverage Alcohol Coalition, the state has numerous reasons for safeguarding the integrity of the current distribution system. For example, encouraging temperance and discouraging underage drinking. Bryan, what about that argument?
Well, I'm glad Rich is on my side here tonight, too. And that's the third thing I mentioned, public health and safety. That's what Rhode Island's getting at. I mean, it's 2021. We can figure out online if a retailer out in California is selling safe wine as much as they can around the corner in Rhode Island. It just doesn't fly anymore in a world of Amazon, eBay, Etsy. It's a relic. You said it at the beginning of this, Mike. Is it a relic? Yes, this is a relic from post-prohibition. They're trying to make a 21st Amendment argument. This is something from the 1930s, not from the 2020s. I absolutely agree. And one other thing I'll say is the Supreme Court actually ruled just a couple years ago on this law in Tennessee that was very similar. It had a 2-year residency requirement. That was Justice Alito with a strong opinion. I think that's what's going to happen again in this case.
All right, mark it down. From the complaint, Rhode Island is a small market for wine, and many rare, unusual, and heavily allocated wines that are distributed in other states are not stocked or sold by Rhode Island retailers, but are readily available from retailers located in Connecticut, New York, and California who will ship and deliver to states where it is lawful to do so. Rich, what about that?
So that's the argument, and the argument will win. Let's be clear: the distributors and wine dealers in the state have this strong lobby, and they don't want other distributors and dealers outside the state to deliver in. But the percentage of deliveries of wine where you don't go to your liquor store is 2%. So it's a big number because a lot of wine is purchased in the country. But the bottom line is that the local distributors and the local retailers don't want to allow the law. But the vino will flow. I do agree that in 2005 and again a couple of years ago, the Supreme Court has made it very clear it is an over-restricted restriction on commerce.
All right.
The out-of-state people will be able to sell in state.
Okay, so to recap, let the vino flow. Rich, Bryan, enjoy it this weekend.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks so much.